Très bien.
D'accord. Ok. Peut-être.
C'est extraordinaire cette photographie.
Pourquoi?
Parce que le site a été exactement comme je l'ai trouvé. Et j'ai imaginé tout ce complexe en fonction du tracé général de la ville de Phnom Penh. Voilà. Je cherchais à comprendre l'origine des Cambodgiens. Les Cambodgiens ont de leur culture une connaissance très mystique, très religieuse. Par exemple, les créateurs d'Angkor, les bâtisseurs d'Angkor sont, pour les Cambodgiens en général, des dieux. Donc, toute cette mythologie imprègne l'imaginaire de tous les jeunes comme de tous les Cambodgiens. Étant un enfant né d'une mère qui habite Phnom Penh et d'un père qui habite en milieu rural, n'est-ce pas? J'étais donc en immersion totale avec le milieu cambodgien de ce temps-là. Il y a toute une foule de données qui procèdent plutôt de la légende plutôt que de recherche scientifique. À cause de ce manque de solidité dans les informations, cela m'a poussé à poursuivre mes études sur l'art khmer, en architecture en particulier.
Under a royal patronage, Van Molyvan was given the opportunity to study in France. And in 1946, he boards a French hospital ship bound for Paris. Van Molyvan is educated at the École des Beaux-Arts, where he is rigorously trained in Europe's classical traditions. But he's also exposed for the first time to modernist architecture. And over the next 10 years, he's deeply influenced by architects such as Walter Gropius, Frank Lloyd Wright, and especially Le Corbusier, whose modular proportion system would come to be adapted in much of Van Molyvan's later work.
Pourquoi j'ai choisi Le Corbusier? Parce que Le Corbusier crée ses unités d'habitation sur pilotis. Les maisons sur pilotis existaient au Cambodge déjà du temps de la préhistoire. Quand on a fait des fouilles, on trouvait toutes nos maisons étaient sur pilotis. Ça existait en germe chez Le Corbusier, ce que je fais donc comme architecture archéologique. Je n'ai fait donc que adapter son vocabulaire à l'architecture khmer.
In 1956, Van Molyvan returns to a newly independent Cambodia.
J'étais marié déjà et j'avais 2 enfants avec moi. Donc, de ce temps-là, je n'avais pas de travail, personne ne voulait de moi. On ne savait pas ce que c'était le métier d'architecte. Est-ce que c'est un dessinateur ou bien c'est un constructeur? On ne sait pas.
After searching for work for almost a year and on the verge of giving up, Van Molyvan is offered a small government commission to build a stupa. It's through this contract that Van Molyvan is introduced to King Norodom Sihanouk.
The post-independence period is, many people refer to it as a golden age for Cambodia, and it indeed was. The prince, Norodom Sihanouk, was reinvigorating Cambodia. It was part of a national spirit that immediately followed independence. It was a sort of euphoria that swept the population and all creative people along.
On était dans un enthousiasme extraordinaire. Cette époque du Sankumrenegum, c'est 4 ou 5 années entre 1955 jusqu'à le coup d'État du général Ronald, c'était extraordinaire pour tout le Cambodge. Jamais on ne retrouvera une telle ambiance.
Impressed with Van Molyvan's abilities, Sihanouk appoints him head of urban planning and commissions him to design a grand monument to memorialize Cambodia's independence.
I think the king probably saw Van Molyvan as an answer to his prayers, because this is exactly the sort of person he needed. He didn't want repetitious colonial buildings, he wanted new architecture. And that's exactly what Van Molyvan gave him, new Khmer architecture.
Under the king's patronage, Van Molyvan would begin the most productive period of his life, developing a unique style that fused his modern design language with the underlying principles of Khmer architecture and an intuitive understanding of natural elements. Van Molyvan's architectural vision would be fully realized in the design of the National Stadium.
My first view of the National Stadium was of the giant overhanging roofs that you can see from the streets around, or you could see at that time. They're kind of this wonderful gesture that calls out to the city and sort of offers this promise of shade. I remember being struck by the way the building was being used. People had set up a little market there. There were people going for a morning jog. There were people dancing, doing exercises, playing soccer, hanging out, what I think looked like sort of flirting around the market. So I was struck by the way in which this was really a living building.
The stadium was a monumental undertaking, set on a 300,000 square meter parcel of land and featuring international level athletics and swimming facilities. The stadium was the centerpiece of the King's bid to host the Southeast Asian Games and to show the world that Cambodia had arrived.
L'idée essentielle de faire du stade une architecture de terre, c'était là. Avec donc la création de cette couronne en terre, avec les gradins, etc., et les bâtiments. Tous les principes encore sont là déjà, dans la composition de la ville.
As the king, who was noted to be up all hours of the night, could simply pick up the phone and ring Van Molyvan and say to him, I want a national sports complex in 2 years' time, and mean it.
C'était au moment de la construction du stade, et c'était vraiment le moment fort de ma vie, comme le moment fort du roi également, Sihanouk. C'est également, il était tout en haut lui aussi, Sihanouk, pendant ça. C'est une bonne coïncidence entre lui et moi, finalement. Je commence à aller voir le site, l'endroit, voir comment se trouve l'orientation, où est l'est, où est le sud, comment se passent les vents dominants, et là-dedans, quel est le matériau qui prédomine, c'est un paysage plat ou bien c'est un paysage de montagne, et essayer donc de trouver quelque chose qui va en symbiose avec ce paysage. Après seulement, je commence à faire des croquis. Le reste n'est qu'une question de style et de vocabulaire. Le plus important est de trouver qu'est-ce que émane le site, qu'est-ce que provoque comme inspiration. C'est ça que je voulais faire. On continue les fonctions du bâtiment, mais on ne copie pas ce qui se fait du passé. C'est ça qui est l'important. Il ne s'agit pas de copier ce qui a été fait, mais de créer à partir du passé, du nouveau. Voilà.
The next major work Van Molyvan would design was the National Theatre. Set on a triangular foundation on the shore of the Basak River, building shape evoked the image of a ship.
Why I did very small windows here? because I play the contrast between every small window, which limit a landscape, an immense landscape, which is the four-face landscape. So you see the whole Mekong River through very, very small windows. Here, this one. Sometimes I play also.
Each of his oeuvres corresponded to a birth of one of us. So we kind of had a house allocated to each of us. So my elder sister was Independence Monument, and it kind of fit her character as well. Then my brother was the stadium, National Stadium, and Gérard was also always into sports, so kind of fit. I don't know why and how, but then my other sister was Chak Tomuk, and she was an artist, kind of fit as well. Then I was allocated the Senate. I don't know if it fits or not, but okay.
So in the 14 years between his arrival, his return to Cambodia, and 1971 when he fled, he produced an astonishing amount of work. When you just look at the list of what he produced, the National Theater, the National Stadium, the Senate, multiple buildings for universities, factories, conference halls, essentially most of the public projects that were done at that time.
Despite his prolific output as an architect, Van Molyvan involved himself in many other aspects of Cambodia's national development. As head of urban planning, Van Molyvan would create an ambitious plan for Phnom Penh, including a complete reimagining of the Bassac riverfront. In 1967, he was appointed Minister of Education and founded Cambodia's first fine arts university, becoming its first chancellor. Cambodia's golden era ended abruptly in 1970, when an unexpected coup by Lone Nol deposed Sihanouk while he was on a state visit to Moscow. Fearing for their safety, Van Molyvan fled with his family to Switzerland. Within 5 years, Lone Nol himself was overthrown by the extremist Khmer Rouge. The Khmer Rouge immediately set out to cleanse society of modern elements, systematically killing Cambodia's brightest artists, writers, and intellectuals. Phnom Penh was emptied of people, and the National Stadium was repurposed as an execution site. By 1979, genocide and mass starvation had claimed the lives of an estimated 2 million Cambodians. Hundreds of thousands more were killed in the civil war that followed. In 1991, the Paris Peace Accords brought a measure of stability to the country, and King Sihanouk returned from exile.
À son arrivée à Phnom Penh, après 13 ans d'exil, Norodom Sihanouk a été accueilli au son du nouvel...
From the moment we heard that Cambodia was actually existing and accessible, I think there was a shift there where he felt the urge to go back and provide some support, some help in rebuilding the country. That was very strong. And my interpretation of this is also that there might have been some guilt that he felt. Because he left the country, he left his, most of his relatives got killed here, while he managed to save his own family.
Van Molyvan's opportunity to return to Cambodia came in 1991, when he was asked to lead the restoration of Angkor Wat after decades of neglect. For the second time in his life, Van Molyvan returned to Cambodia to help his country start again.
It was a fine beginning in 92, 93, but it didn't last. I suspect that the intention, besides the Apsara Authority, was for Van Molyvan to take a stronger role in the reclaiming of Phnom Penh and the revitalization of the capital, civic planning that was necessary, etc., etc. But it didn't occur. He was sacked from the head of the Apsara Authority, and I think the reason was the government didn't accept him.
Yeah, you should know first that Molyvan is not a politician. He is a technician, architect, town planner. So the language of the technician are straight, not diplomatic. You have to go to diplomatic. Even if he was minister many times and so on, but he's still a technician. He's still so that's why I think he cannot talk different way like.
After being fired from the Apsara Authority, Van Molyvan is largely excluded from public life in Cambodia. At the same time, rapid development of Phnom Penh leaves many of Van Molyvan's most important works damaged or destroyed. In 1994, the National Theatre is gutted by an accidental fire and is eventually torn down despite promises for its renovation. In the mid-90s, the gray building is hastily renovated and left unrecognizable. In 2008, Van Molyvan's Council of Ministers building is demolished to make room for a Chinese-designed replacement. Today, the National Stadium still stands, but successive development projects on the integrated pools and green spaces surrounding it have compromised its design and largely hidden it from view.
So, for example, the stadium, I know for a fact that it means something to many people. It also represents health, it represents green space, it represents a space where people can go and walk and do their sports. So if it's being destroyed, it's not just a building, but it's actually a whole way of life that is being taken from these young people. Another example would be the theater I mentioned before. I think it was really traumatic for the artists living there, because it was not just the fall of a pile of stones, but it was really a bit of their identity being taken away from them.
When I saw the fire, all the students of the School of Fine Art, of the School of Music, of the School of Theater were there, and they cried all, because after the departure of Lon Nol, with the arrival of the Vietnamese, we are trying to renew our culture. So we are looking for all students which had been previously during the Sankum in the School of Fine Arts. We collect them, we find them, and we recreated our culture after Khmer here in this place.
I thought it was extremely elegant. And in addition to that, it was home to all these artists and ballet dancers. And I guess when I was a kid, I was dreaming of all this. So when it got destroyed, I was very, very sad. It was really, yeah, I guess that was one of my favorite.
It's the complete visceral attack on him and his works. And the shock of seeing them destroyed in front of his eyes, sometimes literally. And I don't think any artist or architect or master craftsman of any stature who had put so much into Cambodia as he has, it's more than anyone can stand.
ស្ដាយអើយសែនស្ដាយស្នាដៃចាំងល្អឯកខ្លាំងណាស់គ្មានអ្វីផ្ទំ ប្រវត្តិអ្នកសាងឈរញញឹមណាចៅ
So I guess, I mean, I would just ask, just from an emotional standpoint, you know, when you think about what happened to the theater and what's happening even today to the National Sports Complex, how does that make you feel? Like, feel angry or feel sad? What is your sort of emotional reaction?
Impuissant.
Can you say in English?
Without any possibility to act.
It's also symptomatic of the history, the more recent history of Cambodia, in that the current population does not want to remember the past. I think sometimes there is a block. People associate age or quality in the past with a period they don't want to recall. They are sometimes a little bit frightened, I think, of the past.
C'est comme les Japonais, n'est-ce pas, les premières choses qu'ils font pour obtenir leur indépendance de l'identité du Japon était de créer partout des universités dans toutes les villes du Japon. Sihano faisait la même chose. La première fois qu'on commençait à faire une université, c'est l'université des Beaux-Arts, l'université nationale, etc. Donc c'est plutôt cet aspect pionnier de constructeurs de pays qui attirent aussi bien le prince Sihanouk que Lee Kuan Yew ensemble. Et pas la réalisation d'un stade comme ça les intéresse peu.
When you speak to young students or even the youth, not architect students, many of them look at my father as a mentor. And then more recently, with age, I think there is something which I cannot kind of grasp, but maybe a motivation that's a little bit more spiritual in the need to transfer the knowledge.
In 2014, at the age of 89, Van Molyvan moved away from the city he played such a big role in shaping, to live in Siem Reap, close to the temples of Angkor Wat.
This city has been designed by myself when I was President Director General of Apsara Authority, and I respect details of this design here. À mon avis, on a laissé faire et on n'a pas voulu retrouver une certaine personnalité de la culture khmer et c'était dommage. Nous avions nos printemps, etc. Absolument tout ce que je demande, c'est que tout le diaspora rentre. C'est ce que je demande maintenant, n'est-ce pas? Que tous les Cambodgiens qui sont à l'étranger, les étudiants comme les tribunaux, s'ils peuvent revenir au Cambodge maintenant, c'est le moment ou jamais. Ne plus laisser le Cambodge aux mains des gens qui sont contre les Cambodgiens. Mais il faut que le mouvement de révolte vienne des étudiants. C'est la seule possibilité pour nous de survivre.
Une révolte intellectuelle, un peu quelque chose.
Exactement. Que tous ces étudiants-là se lèvent et disent nous allons recréer notre architecture nouvelle. All these people should be together to create this movement of new architecture. No more Van Molyvan, but the movement of these young.